The Luca Cagnoni hive is buzzing. He has been recalled to the NHL and is expected to make his NHL debut on Thursday.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker at the Reef, also the co-host of Locked On NHL. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day. And if you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do is just follow wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. And today, we're discussing Luca Cagnoni as he's expected to make his NHL debut on Thursday versus the Carolina Hurricanes. We're going to be going back looking at his draft reports, seeing how he's developed, what I see on the tape, and where does he fit in with the Sharks short-term and long-term. So before we get to all that, do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Cagnoni hive buzzing with the news Tuesday morning that he had been recalled by the Sharks and is set to make his NHL debut. So if you're not kind of aware of who Luca Cagnoni is, and this is a perfect time to kind of jump on the train, as Luca Cagnoni, he's one of my favorite players. Just his story, like we'll kind of get into all that here, but one of my favorite players, and I've said it a million times and I'll continue to say it. I think he's got something special with him, right? So Cagnoni is a 5'9", 180-poundish defenseman, left-handed defenseman who was drafted 123rd overall in the 2023 NHL draft. Was expected to be a second-round pick, fell to the Sharks in the fourth round where they scooped him up. Played last year after his draft year, his D+1 draft year. Played last year with the Portland Winterhawks in the WHL, where he scored 90 points, setting a WHL franchise or WHL record for most points by a defenseman, or most points in 30 years by a defenseman. Excuse me. Scored 90 points that season, in a season where he said, and I quote, "I was trying to focus on defense." Cagnoni, with his late birthday, was able to play, or with his early birthday, is able to play this season with the San Jose Barracuda. As a reminder, with the or the CHL NHL agreement, if you turn 20 before the end of the calendar year, it counts and you can play. So he's been playing this year, most of the season as a 19-year-old, turned 20 late December, and is one of the youngest players, if not the youngest, one of the younger players in the AHL. So this is how Cagnoni has performed this season. So in 56 games with the Barracuda, he has 13 goals, 34 assists with 98 shots on goal. Luca Cagnoni right now is second among all defensemen the AHL with 47 points. Only forever Shark Derek Pouliot has more with 48 points. Not rookies. He is second among all AHL defensemen in scoring. That's pretty good. So, why has Cagnoni been forever like kind of looked over, right? He's 5'9", right? And that has been the story with Cagnoni, and why he's always been kind of looked over. Was not drafted in the WHL, had to walk on, got his opportunity with COVID expanded rosters, made the most of it, and quickly became one of the best players on the ice for the Portland Winterhawks. So let's go back to his draft year and look at kind of what Cagnoni's expectations for and then we'll kind of talk more about his AHL season this year. So Cagnoni from Elite Prospects was ranked 34th in that year in the 2023 draft. Known for his evasiveness, vision, hockey IQ. Again, left-handed player. He was number 2 ranked transition defenseman and number 3 offensive defenseman in that class that year. They gave him a 6.5 in skating, 6 in shooting, 6.5 in passing, 5.5 in puck handling, and a 6.5 in hockey sense with a 4 in physical. Again, we'll talk about some of that here in a little bit. With shades of Vince Dunn and Sammy Girard of the Colorado Avalanche. So Cagnoni always looked over. Reading, going back to reading his scouting report, look at the rest of the top blue line offerings out in the WHL, and there's one consistent. They're all top picks in the league. Luca Cagnoni was even picked, yet he quickly rose from free agent signing to number 1 defenseman on a top team from 2 NHL draft picks. Now he's poised to bring his dynamic game to the show. In the offensive zone, Cagnoni controls the game. He's a volume shooter, but rarely takes a poor one. He starts and finishes passing plays and fake shots to set up teammates around the slot. Lateral movement pulls defenders to the perimeter, creating space to attack the inside and vice versa. Defense was a concern throughout the season, but Elite Prospects lead scout David St. Louis, who's been on the show, saw enough to believe it won't cost him at the next level. Cagnoni is now a legitimately strong defensive player at his level. Good gap control, neutral zone, helped by his skating, anticipates rotations in the defensive zone, closes on opponents quickly, gets a stick in the right lanes, and effectively angling techniques. I see him also using his body to knock opponents off the puck. So Cagnoni, offensive dynamo. And with these smaller players like him, that is going to be their calling card is your offense has to outweigh any deficiencies you have the defensive set, right? And that's always going to be the thing with these smaller defensemen, right? Is your offense just has to be that much better, right? And I know people when Cagnoni was picked and started coming up, they got flashbacks to Ryan Merkley. I'm going to tell you right now, Cagnoni is not Ryan Merkley. Cagnoni, we're going to talk more about Cagnoni's defense in the middle, the second segment. 2 completely different players. Imagine Ryan Merkley, all the offensive skill Ryan Merkley had, but a guy who's willing to and wants to play good defense. So looking at kind of how his projection has gone, Byron Bader, who also a friend of the show, has been on the show before, he has his models based on kind of scoring. He has Luca Cagnoni as a legitimate star probability type of player with comparisons to Adam Fox. The Adam Fox of the New York Rangers, who won a Norris under David Quinn. Kind of crazy. David Quinn, 2 Norris under his belt. So, but yes, Fox is a little bit bigger at 5'11". Cagnoni's 5'9". They have him listed 5'10" in some places, but I've stood next to Luca Cagnoni. We'll say 5'9" to be nice, but with a guy like Cagnoni, it is going to be he's either going to be amazing or he's just not going to stick in the NHL. And I think, especially again for a 4th round pick that you picked 2 years ago, making it to the NHL right now, at this type of pace, he's well above kind of where you're expecting him to kind of perform. Looking at some of his other kind of stats from this season, Nick the Habs fan, who does a lot of kind of also with the NHL projections, kind of how you score in the AHL compared to how you score in the WHL, and then there's a big formula to try to kind of figure out how many points you'd have in the NHL, et cetera, et cetera. He again has Luca Cagnoni as a potential star D-man, if not an impact defenseman, right? A guy who can drive play, can score, and that has to be, again, Luca Cagnoni's calling card is a guy who can do those type of things. But the Sharks, again, for a 4th round pick, Luca Cagnoni has already proven he belongs here. So we're going to discuss what the tape says, kind of talk about his game a little bit more, kind of dig into it, what I see in the offensive zone, what I see in the defensive zone, and what, more importantly, where I think he's going to help the Sharks. So we'll get to that here in just 1 second. There's nothing like watching basketball live. The energy of the crowd, the sound of the sneakers on the hardwood, and maybe even a celebrity sighting courtside. If you want to catch a game in person, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. Game Time's new feature, Game Time Picks, filters out the fluff to show you only the best deals on great seats. So you don't have to waste time scrolling through thousands of tickets. They make it super easy. They highlight deals, whether they're super deals, giving the best bang for your buck. And of course, you can see your seats before you buy. Nothing worse in sports than getting to an event and realizing my seats stink. They have no surprise fees and a lowest price guarantee. You can book your tickets with total confidence. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. And have you ever checked your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you the full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. And managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. All right, before we continue, we talk about Luca Cagnoni. He's so good, guys. So before we do all that, do want to let you guys, or thank you guys, of course, for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. If you haven't yet, perfect times to subscribe. We do have a draft profile. It's supposed to come out today. We pushed it till tomorrow. It's a fun one. All I'll just tell you is our good friend Tony joins. So you want to check that out. So you can follow along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. If you haven't subscribed, perfect time to do so now. So let's talk more about Luca Cagnoni and what he does on the ice. So Cagnoni is he's a offensive driver. Let's start there. Going back to his days in Portland, where he was on a very good Portland Winterhawks team that went, they went to the Western Conference final. They went very, very deep in a playoff season, but he was a primary offensive driver. The way he handles the puck, the way he transitions the puck, the way he passes, everything he does is about getting the puck safely and securely into the offensive zone. That is what he does. And his ability to read the play offensively, skate, he is a beautiful, beautiful skater, and his ability to manipulate time and space in the offensive zone are his calling cards. He can handle like nobody's business, which gives him an opportunity to create time and space, right? He's very good at reading the play, knowing where people are going to go, and then getting the puck from point A to point B, which I think is that passing's underrated skill of his, of knowing I can get it from, I need to get it from here to there to create stuff. Especially for the Barracuda, where he is the number one he's the quarterback at the age of 19, was the quarterback from day one on their power play. Last time I checked, the Barracuda have the best power play in the AHL, and he is a large reason for that. When it comes to his points, yes, he has 47 of them. Most of them have come on the power play. He is second in the AHL in power play assists with 22. And then that's with the only person, TJ Tynan, forward with Colorado, who has 24 assists. And then for goals, he is 12th tied for 7th, to be honest, with 9 power play goals among all players. So a good chunk of his offensive production does come from the power play, which is fine, right? Power play is important. We know the Sharks power play is struggling. 2 and 2 together here. But I think though for him, he is reading, like, especially when you go back and reading, it's fun to read the scouting reports after you've watched this player a bunch. And I've watched Luca Cagnoni a ton, even going back to Portland and his WHL seasons, one of my favorite players to watch then. And of course, I watched all the Barracuda games. Even if I don't watch them live, I go back and like Luca Cagnoni is one of my favorite players to watch. The offensive zone skills, again, and what I love about him on the power play is his ability to manipulate, to run the power play from anywhere along the blue line, right? It doesn't need to just be in the right side, it needs to be on the left side. And for a left-handed defenseman, he can play on both sides. He's been playing on the right-handed. He's been with Jimmy Schultz. He was partnered with Jimmy Schultz as a left-handed defenseman for a good chunk of the season. He's been playing on his offhand, and he's been doing just fine. But what I love about Cagnoni is his ability, especially on the power play, is to walk the line and get the puck into the middle and get quality shots off. He has a really solid wrister that is very easy for players to tip, or you get rebounds and cause chaos that way. Or it's also deceptive enough where he can make it look like he's like as a shot, but he's clearly completing a pass to like a guy like Andrew Podolski, who's sitting there and just taps it home. Like, Cagnoni does a lot of work on this Barracuda power play, and I'm interested to see how the Barracuda power play operates without him. I know they have Lucas Carlson, who's a fine offensive defenseman, one of the best in the AHL, and I'm sure it probably will be okay. But Cagnoni has been the guy who has really made this power play much different than what we've seen in years past, which a power play that honestly has struggled. But in the offensive zone, though, like, he is going to be able to help this Sharks team create more offense, right? And this is one of the worst offensive teams in the NHL. And the power play is, like, let's be honest, it's been disappointing as of late, especially the first unit. And he's already tapped to be the first unit power play captain, according to our practice reports from Tuesday. So him with smart players like Will Smith and Matt Gonzalez-Brini and Tyler Toffoli, and looks like Alex Wenberg is going to be kind of the net front presence. I expect this power play to improve over the last chunk of the season here. I would actually be disappointed if they continue to play worse. But the big question, though, is always the defense for Luca Cagnoni. And, right, he is a guy who has to rely on angles and side, like angles and being in the right position, right? He's physical enough along board battles, and I think he uses his lack of size to his advantage, where he gets under bigger players, right? And you can see him where, like, he uses his speed to kind of match a player, and he almost like kind of gets his shoulder under their stick and kind of gets it up, and then he kind of swoops in. So you see him using his lack of size to his advantage, especially against bigger players. I think he's physical enough, and you see him more than willing to take the body. He's not going to be like a Sam Dickinson or like a bigger defenseman who can just, like, I'm bigger, stronger, faster than you, where I can just knock you off the puck. That's not his game. And if that's what you're expecting, like, you're not going to get that from him. And like, he tries hard in front of the net, and, like, again, not his game. That's why I think having him partnered with a bigger, stronger defenseman like a Vinny Desharnais makes a lot of sense. I did like Ryan Warsawski's joke of just trying to even out the size. I thought that was pretty hilarious. Also, we need the twins photo with Cagnoni and Desharnais. Like, please, Sharks admin, somebody make it happen. I digress. But I think, though, for him, his ability to play the puck in transition and, kind of poke check away and slow down the transition and stop the transition game is going to be a big plus for the Sharks. And then I think his ability to get the puck out of the zone and get it moving the other way, that is going to be a big plus. So if he can just hold his own, like, in in his own zone and just, again, like, he's not going to be blowing people up. I think he's crafty enough where he's going to be able to steal the puck. If he can hold his own in there and get the puck going the other way, I think he's going to be a plus player for the Sharks. So we're going to talk about kind of where his fit is short term and where his fit is long term, and especially as the Sharks continue to revamp this blue line. So we'll get to that here in just 1 second. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. You can post a job. It's free and simple, and within a day, you'll have multiple qualified candidates to choose from. Instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps find affordable, top-tier freelancers to scale your business efficiently. Visit Upwork.com right now to post your job for free. That's Upwork, UPWORK.com, Upwork.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
All right, before we finish up, do want to, of course, thank you guys for making a Locked On Sharks your first listen. With your second listen, go check out one of the other great shows. You have, of course, plenty of college basketball stuff. They got you covered with that. Locked On's doing a ton of stuff for the college March Madness. Or check out one of the shows here in the Bay Area. Locked On Niners, Locked On A's, Locked On Warriors, Locked On Giants. All those shows can be found where you're listening to this one, or you can watch on YouTube as well. Okay, so Luca Cagnoni, where does he fit? And is this just a short-term thing? I honestly think he sticks around. We've seen it all season, or all throughout Luca Cagnoni's career, right? Was literally one of the last cuts for the Sharks going to the Barracuda at training camp this year, right? Where they wanted him to work on his defense, and he has worked on his defense this season. And like I said, I think he can be an adequate defender. But I think the offensive skills are just so good that, like, you need to give him a shot. So I think he's going to get an opportunity playing. He's probably going to get sheltered defensive minutes, which is fine, right? Playing on the third pairing with Darren Hayes right now. And then he's going to get top billing power play on a power play unit that really kind of does need a shot in the arm. While they have been scoring more, it's been a lot of the second unit kind of doing the work and kind of covering up for the first unit's lack of production recently. So I think Luca Cagnoni is going to really boost the offensive power play, or the power play for the San Jose Sharks. And especially with the way I think the defense is playing right now with Muka Madulin. Again, I know he had a bad game on Saturday, but Muka Madulin's been playing really well, and I think has been earning his kind of 20 minutes a night. I think Darren Hayes can be an okay penalty killer. Like, I think the Sharks have plenty of, with Ferraro and Liljegren also playing. I think you can survive having one guy who's really probably not going to play too much penalty kill. Cagnoni did play penalty kill with the Barracuda, but I would be surprised if they asked him to do that right now. So I think right now this is a nice test run for him to see what you've learned. Right, he's going to probably play the rest. Hopefully he plays the rest of the season with the Sharks. Fingers crossed here. He plays kind of rest of the season with the Sharks, and then goes back to the Barracuda and can help out that team as they may hopefully try to make a deep playoff run here. So that's kind of the short term with it, and I would expect him to be playing kind of third pair. Probably I would say probably 15 to 17 minutes a night would be my guess for Cagnoni right now, and then let him get a taste of it. And then I think next year he has a legitimate chance, depending on what the Sharks do, right? And there's going to be a lot of moving pieces of this defense core this offseason, right? Because Sam Dickinson, who I think is going to make a push for NHL job next year, and we'll have plenty of time this offseason to kind of debate that with Sam Dickinson and what's his next move and what's the best path for him. And, if the Sharks want to kind of do the Will Smith thing with Dickinson of like, we're going to kind of ease you into this a little bit and then, like take the training wheels off about midway through the season, I wouldn't be surprised for that. But then if you draft Schaefer, is the Schaefer ready, or do you send it back to the OHL for another season? Like, there's plenty of discussion for that. But for Cagnoni, though, I think his best fit is probably going to be a long-term kind of that second pairing unit where I think he's going to drive a lot of offense and get to maybe a little bit easier matchups, but you do need to have the right partner for him. And I think Luca Cagnoni is the right partner for him, because Luca Cagnoni has some two-way game, right? But I think we've seen Luca Cagnoni in his own zone play really well. And both these guys have played on their offhand. Luca Cagnoni's played on his offhand at the Barracuda. Cagnoni's played on his offhand with the Barracuda and in Portland. Like, I could see that pairing working really well. And I know Luca Cagnoni, he is strong, looks a little wiry, and I think he's going to continue to add some weight here. I feel like that might be your future second pairing, is especially if you get Schaefer, of having a Dickinson Schaefer first pairing, Luca Cagnoni Cagnoni second pairing, and then like a Thrun whomever on the third. Like, sign me up for that, because that sounds awesome. Like, that sounds really awesome right there. Or if you go out and you go get a like legit top pairing defenseman this offseason, then we can, have more conversations about it then. But I do think Cagnoni has a legitimate chance to be a really good piece for the Sharks going forward. And with these small players, right, it's either they come to the NHL and they're awesome, or they just don't stick around. And I'm going to continue to bet that Cagnoni is awesome and sticks around, because he's done it his whole life, right? It's not like he woke up today and was 6 inches shorter than he was yesterday. He's been a smaller player his whole life, right? In his WHL draft year, he was 5'2". Yes, he grew to 5'9", but it's not like he's hasn't been playing against bigger guys his whole life, right? And the way he plays, he uses it to his advantage. So, I'm 100% a Cagnoni believer. I think he's awesome. I think the Sharks got to steal at the fourth. And the fact that he is making the NHL as a fourth-round pick 2 years after his draft speaks volumes to how far he's come. And yes, this defense core, it's a mess, right? And there's a lot of moving pieces for it. But, yeah, I think it speaks just to how good he's been. And I think he's going to help solve one of the Sharks' biggest problems right now, and that is their power play. So even if he's a power play merchant right now, cool. That's fine. He's going to continue to get better. And we'll see kind of where he fits and what the offseason brings for him and for the Sharks and stuff. But I'm so thrilled that he's getting his opportunity now, because this kid earns it. Great kid. I did an interview with him like right after he got drafted. Super humble kid. He's worked hard. He knows he's good, but he always has that chip on his shoulder. And I think he's going to continue to have that chip on his shoulder, and he's going to continue to show people why they were wrong for waiting to pick him in the fourth round. So that's going to be it for me today. We'll be back tomorrow. Like I said, our good friend Tony Ferrari joins. That's all I'm going to say. So on that, but make sure you're following along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at My Fry Hole. Till tomorrow. Bye, friends.